So you're sure this isn't going to be too long an intro? This will be fine. This will be all... Yeah?
Yeah, no, sounds great. Go for it, man.
All right, well, thanks very much. Let's see how it goes. Hi everyone, it's Jack from WhatCulture.com, back again with the fast count. Now, a common criticism of my work has been that I don't put in enough effort into my intros. King Ross obviously has some sort of cinematic obsession with making himself look grand and glorious and falling in love with tripods, and that was a bit of a weird development actually, that was a weird one. Anyway, I've convinced Ben, our lovely editor for today, that I'm going to do quite a long intro, and as you've probably guessed, it involves the medium of musical song. Now, I've put quite a lot of effort into this fast count ballad. I've poured my heart and soul into it. I've written quite a few lyrics. There's been various drafts. I've really put my all into this. So, not to sound too sort of X Factor about it, I'd really want you to give it a chance and just let me know honestly what you think. So here we go. Now, hopefully you enjoyed that, hopefully you've recovered, you've wiped your tears away, and you've overcome the emotional trauma of that key change in the 7th chorus. And now it's time to get on with the fast count. What better way to start than with a triple header of WWE news? First of all, Alberto Del Rio is gone. He's out the door. He was, of course, in the middle of a 30-day suspension for failing WWE's wellness policy, or for violating it, I should say. And now he has apparently left the company, making him a free agent. Where could Del Rio end up? Of course, everyone's money could potentially be on Lucha Underground. But if he were to go there, we wouldn't see him on screens until the season had caught up with the chronology of the tape. You see what I mean? They're in the future. They're magical. Now, I'd like to say that Del Rio is a big loss for WWE, but in the way they've treated the Mexican superstar over the past few years, he isn't too big a loss at all, which is a shame because it's not really Alberto's fault. He's a very capable wrestler, he's very charismatic, as he's been able to prove in sort of tiny snatches over the years. But from the way that he's been treated in the company, I don't think this is going to be too big of a loss, but hopefully he can go on to do great things and fulfill his potential elsewhere. Now some news that I often feel a bit weird on the fast count because obviously it's recorded every Friday, which means that the sort of Saturday, Sunday, Monday news seems really old by the time I come to record it. So this one, unless you've been living under a rock, you'll have seen all over the internet. Kevin Owens is the new Universal Champion. Now that's massive news, of course. Kevin Owens finally being recognised for his brilliance over the years, both in WWE, NXT, and on the independent scene as well. He's a Ring of Honor legend. He's one of the greatest superstars in the company today for various reasons, both in-ring and on the microphone. But I'm more interested in this news because my boy, Paul Levesque, Triple H, he's back, and he's back where he belongs. The most dominant man on the WWE roster after pedigreeing Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, taking them both out of the match because, as we all know, the pedigree, when delivered by Triple H, is the most devastating finisher in the history of professional wrestling. Triple H is back, good times are ahead, come on. Ben, are you not happy that Triple H is back? Are you not buzzing?
I feel alright. I think you should be focusing on NXT, really.
Nah, he's the boy, he's the game. Bow down to the king, have some respect.
Okay. Sorry.
It's alright. And finally, this week's Cruiserweight Classic saw a phenomenal episode with just 2 matches on it, both of them fantastic. You had Grand Metalik versus Akira Tozawa, and you had Brian Kendrick versus Kota Ibushi. I'm just laughing because Ben's put his hands over his ears because he's not seen the show yet. First of all, Grand Metalik won, which was obviously sad for me. I'm a big fan of Akira Tozawa. I love his German suplexes. And then Kota Ibushi knocked out Brian Kendrick in a phenomenal match. Sorry if I'm speaking quietly. Ben is still trying to avoid the spoilers. It was a very emotional match. One point of controversy for me. Kota Ibushi kicked out of a Burning Hammer. For those of you unfamiliar with the Burning Hammer, that is a devastating super finisher over in Japan. No one ever kicks out of the Burning Hammer. In Kendrick's defense and Ibushi's defense, it was delivered by a gaijin, an outsider, not the original inventor of the move. So you could say that he didn't nail it perfectly, but who should be kicking out of being dropped squarely on the head? Great show anyway, check it out if you can. It's all good. Ben, I've finished it, mate. And now it's time for all the news from elsewhere in the wacky world of professional wrestling. I hope I do a dramatic enough chord to justify... Oh, it's all gone wrong, lads. Wait a minute. No, that was a boring one, hang on. I believe that's A minor, one of 4 chords that I know. I'm that guy at parties. Ben, you can stop applauding, it's fun. First of all, I'm not sure how to talk about this because, as we all know, last time we had the final deletion in TNA, and when I expressed my opinions on that, the internet got very, very angry with me. And I was even on the front page of Reddit. There was a thread dedicated to just making me feel like a terrible person on the internet. But it's all right when people when you're in this job, people kind of forget you're a real person and you've got emotions and, you know, hopes and dreams and all that. But, you know, to them, you're just a face on a screen. But it's fine. Luckily, TNA have decided to reward me by doing it all again. Now we've got Delete or Decay next week on Impact. That's right, this is going to be the second match held at Matt Hardy's twisted, weird swamp of a mansion. Apparently that's his house in real life. Sorry, Matt, for saying that. But the match is basically sort of a 6-person intergender tag, tornado tag in a way. It's a no-holds-barred, obviously, because last time we saw fireworks and stuff like that. Bullshit! Anyway, we've got Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Reby Sky versus Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Abyss. What is going to happen? TNA showed a preview video, as they did for the last one, and it involves a ridiculous story. Abyss and co have kidnapped Maxwell, Matt's real-life son, and they're holding him hostage somewhere in the mansion, and, you know, the Hardys have to go and save the day. Senor Benjamin looks like he's going to be making a comeback. He's dug just loads of holes around the grounds and there's all those crosses, and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on this one, lads. Now, PWG's Battle of LA, the annual single elimination tournament featuring some of the hottest indie talent from around the world, is about to start tonight. It's going on for the next 3 days, and I just want to wish good luck to all the competitors who have competed or are set to compete in WCPW. That's Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, and of course, the legendary Cody Rhodes. There's some very, very intriguing first round matchups, and I'll just list them right now. Seamless. Phoenix v Will Ospreay, Lucha Underground's Phoenix, of course. That match is going to be full of high-flying action, I have no doubt. Chris Hero versus Jushin Thunder Liger, the Japanese legend. John Hennigan, that's Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, versus Matt Sydal, that's Evan Bourne. I mean, that sounds like a Superstars main event in WWE. No, it should be a very good match. I'm really sorry for that, that was inappropriate. Ricochet v Jeff Cobb, that's the other name of Matanza, if you watch Lucha Underground, the big monster guy. Marty Scurll versus Pentagon Jr., my favourite matchup of the first round, and Cody Rhodes v Sami Callihan. And there's even more. Cedric Alexander's featured, if you've seen him in the CWC. It's an unbelievably stacked tournament if you know anything about indie wrestling today, so definitely try and catch some of that if you can. I should mention that PWG do release these events on DVD afterwards, so look out for those if you want to be, you know, proper and legal about it, as we encourage here at WhatCulture.com. And finally, sound the boring legal news klaxon. I've forgotten, it was quite a while ago that last happened when we were talking about Hulk Hogan and Gorka. I've actually forgotten what the boring news klaxon sounds like, so if you just put a sound in now, and hopefully that'll be appropriate. CM Punk and Colt Cabana are no longer following each other on Twitter. Yes, CM Punk and Colt Cabana, previous best friends, Chicago natives, grew up together on the indies. They no longer follow each other on Twitter. Reports from WrestlingInc.com seem to indicate that this is because Punk feels betrayed. He feels that Colt Cabana, in going backstage on a recent edition of Monday Night Raw, he was a guest, he took some photographs, that's compromised his legal defense against WWE, who are trying to take legal action, or their doctor is, I should say, for Punk's comments on Cabana's podcast a couple of years ago. I've actually written a song, a friendship song for Punk and Cabana. If they want to listen to this, hopefully it'll bring them back together. It's going to start, it's a happy one, so I'll start in C major. Oh, it's just such an emotional part. Anyway, finally we've got all of our takeaways. Now,
This is the Friday test, yeah?
fire alarm just went off.
Hooray.
It's just my mixtape. First of all, this is something that I really want to hear your guys' opinion on, especially if you're a fan from the USA, because Kevin Owens' son was pictured on Instagram holding his dad's Universal Championship, and then a personality from ESPN had some disparaging words to say. Amin El Hassan commented on Twitter that maybe his son wouldn't be so proud when he realised that wrestling wasn't real. It's 2016, the vast majority of people know that wrestling isn't real. I'm pretty sure that Kevin Owens' son, considering his dad is a pro wrestler, understands that his dad's not really getting hurt night in, night out. Well, I mean, I'm not suggesting that pro wrestlers don't get hurt, but not getting legitimately beaten up by other guys on a night-by-night basis. And yet, when I was in America for WrestleMania, we were listening to Dallas Cowboys radio in an Uber on the way to the stadium, and we heard some sort of radio hosts talking about wrestling in a very negative light. They sort of seem disgusted by its very existence. Whereas over here in the UK, non-wrestling fans are sort of baffled by it. They don't understand why it's entertainment, but they don't take such a stand against it as what we experienced in Texas anyway. So leave your comments, leave your own experiences. What have you experienced being a wrestling fan, whether in the UK or in the US, but I'm particularly interested to hear what you stateside fans think of that. Next up, we're going to go back to the Alberto Del Rio news, his release from WWE, and talk about what this means for Paige. Paige has obviously been in a very, very headline-grabbing relationship with Del Rio over the past few weeks. Will she follow him out the door? Paige has not enjoyed the happiest of times in the past couple of years in WWE. She's seen her sort of status in the women's division plummet. She's not really been given the breaks that she perhaps deserves. She's a good wrestler, she's a good character, she sells merchandise, and they're not willing to give her that much of a chance. I personally think it's only a matter of time before Paige does indeed follow Alberto out the door and perhaps try and make it big on the indie scene once more. And finally, I've mentioned it already, but who do you think is going to win the 2016 Battle of LA? My pick is either Marty Scurll or Pentagon Jr., which is really bad because they're fighting each other in the first round. I think Scurll might win because all the attention's obviously been on Ospreay recently, and yet, as we saw at Kenny McIntosh's show in London, Paul Heyman said, Ospreay, you are the future of wrestling, Marty Scurll, you're next. This could be a PWG, one of those companies that always seem to be ahead of the curve in choosing their big stars, and I think this could be a scene of Scurll's triumph. My pick of Pentagon is based around the fact that season 3 of Lucha Underground is coming up, and he looks to be the big star of that. The poster features his hand making the 3 with his Cero Miedo thing. He's just awesome. He's just really cool as well. They're both really cool. I hope one of them wins. Can they both win? So that's all we've got time for this week on the Fast Count. I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_the_jobber, and I'll see you soon. And I'm going to play you out with a lovely piece of music.
Blood, sweat, tears. Warriors collide, heroes and villains, beasts and champions. 2 women will put each other through hell to capture gold. The aerial assassin will battle his most bitter foe, the villain. And can a desperate champion endure the onslaught of 3 challengers driven by pride, ambition, revenge? Or are the odds against him too stacked? Saturday, 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Eastern, WCPW. Stacked.